We've all seen the incredible growth of the Church of the Brethren in Nigeria, in Western Africa over the past 100 years, to the point where the Church of the Brethren in Nigeria is now larger than the Brethren in the U.S. But now there's another area where the Church of the Brethren has taken hold and promises to become as large or even larger than Nigeria. It's in the countries of East Africa. This is one of them, Rwanda, one of a half dozen African nations where the Church of the Brethren approach to faith has become attractive and is being embraced by thousands of new brethren in Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, and most recently Kenya and Tanzania. Chris Elliott from Pennsylvania has been in Rwanda off and on for the past several years, working alongside the new brethren in these countries.
And that's fascinated me to see how dedicated they are to that concept of Church of the Brethren. We are Church of the Brethren, whether it's Burundi, Congo, Rwanda, Uganda. It's almost like they hold on to that brand and they are excited about that. And what that means, you know, the baptism, the love feast, and the sense of community, and of course the sharing of God's peace has really been deeply important to them.
To some degree, it all started with this man, Etienne Natsazama, from Rwanda, who as a student at Earlham School of Religion in Indiana, started learning about and becoming attracted to the Church of the Brethren. Once he graduated and returned to his country, he started the Church of the Brethren in Rwanda.
Why I love the Church of the Brethren is for humble humility of the Church of the Brethren. Also, I love so much to fellowship with others and care for others, how we care one another and love one another. We borrow the Brethren belief from Nigeria, Church of the Brethren, and we taught to our members every Sunday school. We taught Brethren beliefs.
With the same zeal for evangelism that has marked the Nigerian Brethren, NTN has started 4 Brethren congregations and anticipates others joining as well. He's been working in partnership with the Global Missions Office of the Church of the Brethren through financial assistance from the Emergency Disaster Fund and the Global Food Initiative, responding to several humanitarian crises in Rwanda, a country racked by horrible violence and longing for the peace witness of the Brethren.
These people who have lived through horrific violence, you know, with the genocide and some ongoing civil, governmental, political disruptions that they've had, having that emphasis on God's love and peace and forgiveness has really resonated deeply into the hearts of these people. And I think that's one of the attractions that they have to the Church of the Brethren.
Brethren Pastor Marla Abe studied with NTN while both were in seminary.
One of the reasons Etienne wanted to become part of the Brethren is because we weren't just about saving souls, but also about nurturing bodies, caring for refugees, feeding the hungry, etc. That mattered very much to him, that it was more than just a salvation-only thing. And the peace position, but he was already into the peace position.
As the church was developing and growing in Rwanda, in the next-door nation of Uganda, a pastor stumbled onto the Church of the Brethren while surfing the internet and discovered an approach to Christianity that embodied what he thought was an authentic approach to the Christian life. With the help of Pastor Gordon Hoffert from Minnesota, who happened to be in the country for other reasons, Mwambwali Cedric decided to join the Church of the Brethren and established a dozen congregations with some 500 members.
The church is spreading very fast. People are coming to Christ in big numbers. Everywhere we go, we see people are getting saved and surrendering their lives to Christ, living the worldly ways and taking up the heavenly ways. They are getting separated from the world. So we really thank God for this. When we see the Church of the Brethren, it is teaching simple living, Christ-like living, and also having the New Testament as the creed for the church. It makes us feel we need to be Church of the Brethren.
Cedric found a faith tradition that supported his focus on orphans and widows, who he was already ministering to. It was a perfect fit.
The orphanages and schools in Uganda are so important because we are showing the love of Christ. They are helping us demonstrate the love of Christ to the young generation, and we believe that through are extending the love of Christ to these children, we are raising them to become potential leaders when they grow up.
What impressed me first about the Church of Uganda was that they immediately had a very clear mission and vision. They even had an organization started which served the destitute widows and orphans of Uganda. They have an NGO. And so these churches already had a mission when they were founded. Every member who comes in knows that mission.
While the churches were growing in Rwanda and Uganda, pastors in Rwanda's neighboring countries of Congo and Burundi also learned about the Church of the Brethren and started planting churches in both of those countries. The main church planter in Burundi is Pastor Expert Bukini, who since 2015 has established 50 congregations. He was introduced to the Church of the Brethren when he came across a book entitled A Dunker's Guide to Brethren History. He has a well-established training program for pastors in Burundi, all accomplished without outside funding.
Expert Bukini, who is the leader of the Church of the Brethren in Burundi, he has really latched on to our tagline, continuing the work of Jesus peacefully, simply together. And he said to me, "Can you preach to that?" And it was just kind of fascinating. They just love that thought of peacefully, simply together.
In each of these countries, there's a stated appreciation for the Church of the Brethren approach to faith, care for meeting human need in countries that have been dealing with poverty, violence, even natural disasters such as volcano eruptions and floods, an appreciation for believers' baptism, and a commitment to peacemaking and reconciliation in countries torn by ethnic violence. Even genocide has happened in Rwanda. Church leaders also like the Brethren emphasis on the priesthood of all believers. On a recent visit by American church leaders to Rwanda and Uganda, each of the congregations introduced lay members of the congregation who share in the ministry, many of whom are women. American and Nigerian brethren have been supportive of these new churches. Congregations in several districts in the U.S. have helped build or rebuild houses of worship and provided funds for Bibles to be distributed. Brethren in the U.S. have also helped support the nursery school run by the church in Gisenyi, the headquarters of the Rwandan church. Chris Elliott's daughter, Grace Elliott, is one of the teachers at the school, currently as a Brethren volunteer service worker. The school helps to satisfy the Rwandan government requirement to be recognized as a church.
Each church has to have some community service before they're allowed to start worshiping as a church. So the church in Gisenyi is doing a nursery school. Humori is thinking of a nursery school. Yeah, you can't just have a building and let it sit empty. It has to have a community service aspect to it.
But the most pressing need for the new brethren in each of these countries is church leadership training. That's where Chris Elliott comes in. A pastor from the southern Pennsylvania district, Chris has taken an interest in mentoring and supporting the new brethren in this region. Working alongside pastors NTN, Cedric, Expert, and the other country leaders, Chris has helped set up a structure for ongoing pastoral training that works with each of the countries where brethren congregations have been established. It's called the Great Lakes Bible School, located at the site of the Mother Church in Gisenyi, Rwanda. The head of the school is Pastor Theonesti, who is Etienne's brother. Theonesti recently earned his doctorate in Kenya and is now the head teacher at the Bible school.
Most of the pastors are very untrained, I guess I would say. I mean, they all can read, they have Bibles, in their own language. The pastors do. Not everybody in the church does, of course, but then again, not everybody in the church can read. But that's a serious issue throughout the region here in the Great Lakes churches, is pastors that just don't have a rich understanding of the Bible and what it means in terms of who we are as God's people. We could say the Church of the Brethren in particular, but just in a general sense of what it means to be a disciple, a follower of Jesus Christ.
What church leaders in these countries covet is the prayers of brethren from around the world. Visits such as the one in December of 2022 by Pastors Bob Kettering and Marla Abe and Pastor Caleb Silvanus Dakwe from the Church of the Brethren in Nigeria are especially appreciated. They ended up traveling and sharing about Brethren doctrines not only to Burundi, Rwanda, and Uganda, but also to a new project in Kenya, where there's a congregation that is recently identified with the Church of the Brethren. Those who have visited these new brethren are impressed with what they have seen and experienced.
My impression, one, is their zeal, their enthusiasm, and the strength with which they come to worship God, and their music, and then also their leadership structure. And I think this is good, and this is in line with the priesthood of all believers that the Church of the Brethren stands for.
I guess I've really been impressed by the vibrancy, the spirit of the people, and I think maybe one aspect that really has impressed me is their emphasis on prayer and their trust in God. And they really seem to have a grasp of that a lot better than we as Americans or Westerners do. And there's a strong sense of evangelism as they have shared the gospel. They've started new churches. And it's important to realize that we don't come here to tell them how to be the church, but we come alongside them and partner with them, relationship with them, to have that fuller understanding of who we are in Christ.